Yeah, I'm trying to set the mood and everything for.
Makes me want a banjo though.
Yeah, that sounded more banjo-y than that sounded more like Deliverance than
Right.
King Tut's tomb.
You're sitting there wrong.
That's a whole other kind of pharaoh you got going on there.
Need some Carl Sanders solo material, I think, for this one.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we should have. We should have got some Nile albums. You know who Nile are? No, it's a American death metal band formed. They've been around a while.
Yeah,
early 90s.
Oh yeah,
and their whole theme, every album is themed around Egypt and stuff. It's actually real, and it's in the music too.
It's
like,
awesome.
It's really good.
Especially the earlier albums is really cool. And they sing in like ancient Egyptian. They have ancient Egyptian like period music that they get samples from, and it's really fucking cool.
That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
Great. Like they have one of the best drummers in the metal scene, George. Oh my God, that guy's insanely good. And Carl's awesome. Real nice guy, and he loves November's Doom. So
nice.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win. Yeah. But in any case, we should have got some Nile to start us off here. Yeah, we'll see. But what's going on, everybody?
How you doing?
How you doing?
We doing?
I'm okay.
I'll be better someday.
Oh boy, we're gonna get all mopey on them. Yeah. Welcome to another. What we call the audio cast, another audio-only episode of Geeking Poetic. Some of you out there may or may not have by this point seen that we did a video, like a retrospective, where we talked about
The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
That lovable guy.
Aw.
Megan loves it.
Sure do.
It was her idea. But we all like The Mummy, so we decided for Mummy's Day, Mother's Day, since it's May, that we would talk about those movies and stuff. And then, of course, we thought, well,
that wasn't enough. We need more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially because when we've done the other audio casts and stuff, every time we talk about aliens, we talk about time travel, we talk about
Marvel.
Everything, and it always comes back to Egypt. Always ancient Egyptian stuff.
They're everywhere. They're in everything.
Yeah. So we had been threatening for ages, like, we're going to talk about this more sometime, and here we are. Now, we're not going to cover everything.
There's too much to cover.
There's
literally millennia of things to cover. So
yeah. Make my millennia. Sorry, little Beetlejuice for you. But
so we're gonna talk about some of it.
Yeah.
And then we want to hear from you guys what more you wanted to hear about, so we know to do another one.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a couple people saying, like, can't wait to hear you guys talk more about ancient civilization stuff. So it's here you go.
Yep.
You're not gonna get too much more ancient than this when it comes to human civilization.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, again, I should probably do it just in case, just for keeping things normal and decorum and all that. I am one of your geeking hosts here. I am Larry Roberts. Across the table from me is none other than
Vito Marchese.
And then the mummy that is sat squat right in between us. And her own little sarcophagus. We have none other than...
I feel like I'm cursed. I'm Megan Guess.
Yeah, we're going to just talk a little bit about this. And it's, we have some notes and stuff here, but it's a little loosey-goosey. Little loosey-goosey. When we did the retrospective about the mummies, I had asked you guys, like, when you guys got into all this kind of stuff and like what triggered it and everything. But in terms of like Egyptian like curses and theories and all that kind of stuff, like really like not just like the normal stuff you read in like history books and everything. I mean, you guys are pretty into that to it. I know you are, Vito. Yeah, when did you discover that stuff?
Jeez. Probably in 7th or 8th grade.
Well, I mean, was there like a specific author or specific series of books or a show or something like that kind of triggered that?
So I found out about a Richard C. Hoagland, who actually does a lot of work about Mars and the structures on Mars, but
Okay.
he had a diagram that showed that the pyramids of Egypt matched exactly to these pyramids found on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this correlation. I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then I saw a movie called Stargate.
Oh boy. Okay.
So let me tell you guys, Stargate changed my entire life. I thought, well, aliens built everything. Aliens are responsible for Egypt, the society, the structures. It was all aliens. And then I discovered Graham Hancock, and that totally changed my viewpoint again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Where I think, no, it wasn't aliens. It was an ancient civilization that predated the Egyptians, who got wiped out in a mass catastrophe during the last ice age, which was about 12 or 14,000 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they got wiped out.
That makes sense.
That seems more feasible to me.
You know?
Yeah. Although aliens is cool, and I would prefer it to be aliens.
Well, my thing is this: why couldn't it possibly be something of a combination of the two? I mean, there's nothing that says that aliens didn't have some part in that. We don't know. We have no fucking idea when it comes to a wiped out ancient civilization that we don't know anything about.
Yeah, because they seem to know a whole lot about the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and exactly. So how did that happen?
Maybe they were like us. They were more like us.
Dummies?
More dummies, yet
No,
I don't
I'm
know.
joking.
I don't know if they had technology as we know it, but something where they communicated with the rest of the world. They were more in contact with the rest of the world.
I think it was a global faring society.
Right.
Where now where we can go anywhere in the world. We have the internet. Who says that we're not the pinnacle, that there was a pinnacle before us. They got wiped out, but there was still a small population of Neanderthal type of humans that were left behind. They didn't know how to work stuff, or they don't have the knowledge that those senior
we had to re-evolve over the over the centuries.
Like imagine tribes in the Amazonian forest. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have iPhones, they don't have the internet. What if all of us got wiped out? They
But then,
might still
but then
know
some of
left.
but some of those tribes down in Africa, if they did somehow survive, that's
You know?
Because we could all be wiped out by disease and stuff, and they're going to be clear because they're
yeah.
so deep down in the Amazon.
Right.
They're just they're walking around, their fucking junk hanging out,
Mm-hmm. They're all exposed. They're used to it.
spearing shit in rivers and clubbing monkeys on the head and all sorts of shit. And they're just oblivious to all of it. They're like, fuck your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Like this fucking monkey I just clubbed.
Right?
You know? So it's funny. It all came from Stargate.
Telling
Anybody
you.
that knows Vito,
That makes
doesn't.
perfect sense.
What about you, Meg?
I was trying to think while Vita was talking. It wasn't like books I went home and read and everything. I think it was more like my textbooks from school.
Okay.
Learning from that, I was just always fascinated with the desert, and especially Egypt. But I don't think I ever actually read like fun
Conspiracy
You know what I mean?
kind
Yeah.
of
It was always
theories. and-
textbooks. I would
Textbook,
go
yeah.
to the library or something and get old textbooks. I don't know why, but that's how I learned about them.
Yeah.
It wasn't ever conspiracies or anything like
Right.
that either. It was like actual. Not that I remember much of it now. It's been so long, but.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and we'll even get into it here, is that even some of the so-called quote-unquote actual facts that have been in textbooks and stuff are kind of hotly debated as well.
Mhm, yeah.
So there's nothing that says that stuff because I grew up reading a lot of the same stuff, and now there's things that they go,
Nope.
no, and again, we'll save that. We'll get into that. I mean, even just basic things like when all this stuff came from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For me, like I said, there was I kind of mentioned this on that retrospective, but I'll kind of recap a little bit. For me, it was like, of course, I saw stuff like I talked about, like with Johnny Quest cartoons, that was more specifically, I guess, mummies and stuff like that. But in terms of like Egypt, I used to watch. There were shows that were on back in the day, really dating myself now. Shows that were like In Search Of,
Mhm.
that was hosted by Leonard Nimoy,
Mhm.
stuff like that, and they would get into. There'd be whole episodes where they would talk about that stuff. And my dad and my mom, both of them, enjoyed watching those shows a lot. I mean, you're talking when I was like 6, 7 years old. A lot of it was over my head, but it was still fascinating enough to be like, just like the Egyptian artwork and the sculpting and all the different stuff, and the statues, of which, of course, some of those, me and statues. Like, I have a love,
especially cat ones.
Yeah, I have like a love-hate, mostly hate things with statues and cat statues and stuff. Yeah. I won't talk about the cat statue today. But anyway, I watched a lot of that, and that got me into it. And then right around that time in the early 80s, they had a whole thing where they had a big exhibit of King Tut stuff that was traveling around the country and everything. And for a while, it was at McCormick Place here in Chicago, which for those of you that don't know, it's a giant convention center where they just had Star Wars Celebration.
Sure did.
And we went. And they had a thing. And so they had this exhibit traveling around the country and everything. And they needed security for it. They needed like special security and alarms and all this stuff built for like the pieces in the exhibit, because you're talking about rare, and a lot of stuff is made out of gold, ancient gold and all this, expensive, rare stuff. And my dad actually is the guy that at least helped design the security system for the Tutankhamun
nice,
stuff.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. So then there was like a lot of that too, so then I was like, and he was getting like, he had some paraphernalia and stuff like, posters and books and booklet things. And he was just like, you might be interested in this. And again, the problem was it was a little over my head for my age, being only still, I think, in single digits. Anyway, the point is that was kind of the stuff that really set it off for me. Like that ever since then, I've always been a little bit infatuated with Egyptian history. And
yeah, wasn't the Field Museum a few years ago had all that? That was really cool.
Yeah, I went. They did have a couple years ago. I think I went about 10 or 12 years ago. They had one at the Field Museum, a huge Egyptian thing. That was really awesome.
I always miss it. I haven't seen any of that because it comes around every like 10 years or something like that. They'll tour some of that kind of stuff around, and I don't think I've seen it since probably like 20 years ago or so. I need to get to the museum more.
Next time they come around, we're going.
Yeah,
I don't care what you two say. We're going.
Well, okay. I guess we're going.
Yes. Yes.
Jeez. I was just going to go by myself, but, stuck with you two mooks. But, yeah, that's definitely something we should do more, is like plan little field trips like that,
Oh, yeah.
Pack a bag lunch. Go to the field trip. We'll sit downstairs in the cafeteria.
We should make Geeking Poetic permission slips.
There you go.
We do. We go on our geeking adventure.
There you go. We'll get random people to take pictures with us holding the permission slip.
That would be fun.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was it for me. Yeah, and I loved going on like field trip. Whenever we would go on field trips and stuff, I loved seeing that kind of stuff, like checking out whatever kind of Egyptian stuff they had. You know what's funny, Vito? On a side note, do you know I've only maybe ever seen like 2, maybe 3 episodes of Stargate? Dude, I know. You all can't see the look that Vito
That's
just
a huge
gave
look
me.
of disappointment. You are a failure.
I've got they're on streaming, but I've got season 1 through 5 on DVD. So
yeah, well, it's another. Yeah, I mean, it's one I've always wanted. It's another add to the pile. Add to the list of things that I'd like.
There's some fantastic episodes, man. In those first couple of seasons of Stargate SG-1, fucking awesome.
Well, somewhere down the line, way down the line, because we have so many other things to do. But it would be fun for us to binge a bunch of those and then like do like a retrospective about it and stuff. And
yeah, there's only 9 seasons in that.
Yeah, well, we could always
just SG-1. Then there's Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah, which I've seen
Universe
a little. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw Universe.
Yeah, I never saw Universe either.
I saw Atlantis, some of it. I've seen bits of it. But jumping more into this though, since we'll for now let's stick more with the history sort of thing, because we were just talking about that. First and foremost, I guess the biggest addressing the biggest elephant in the corner of the room, so to speak, is the fact that we still don't even really know when a lot of this stuff was really created, like whether or not things like the pyramids and the Sphinx and all that stuff can even be attributed to the Egyptian era that they try to claim the stuff's attributed to, because they were trying to say that what we grew up with them saying that it happened when
like 4,500 BC, which was about 6,000, 6,500 years ago, something like that.
Okay, man, think about it. That's a fucking long time ago.
Yeah. It's insane.
I mean, it's not a long time in the grand scheme of things.
But compared to us, when we only live, 80 years, 100 years, that's 60 generations, dude.
Yeah, that's at least, at least, that's a long time ago.
And this ancient Sumerians even were before that. They were around 6,000 BC, so that's 8,000 something years ago. So
I'm usually good with dates, but we start going that far back, and I can't.
And it's confusing because you got to count backwards and then add 2,000. It's like, what? I don't. Yeah.
Right. So they're saying things like the Sphinx that the mainstream Egyptologists and stuff are trying to have said for years that they thought the Sphinx was created somewhere around 2,500 BC.
Okay.
The thing is there's been a lot, especially lately, there's been a lot of people coming out that have said, no, we that's wrong. Who were that? There was the one guys that I know came out and said that was like pretty much.
There's John Anthony West and Robert Schoch.
Yeah.
Who John Anthony West just unfortunately died a year and a half ago from cancer. So
yeah,
Robert Schoch is still doing the theories and stuff. So he's usually on Joe Rogan's podcast.
I was just gonna say, weren't they just talking about that on? I remember hearing about West dying on Rogan.
Yeah, he came up with a theory that claims that the Sphinx is much older due to water erosion patterns at the base of the monument, which, if you look historically, rainfall did not fall in that area to cause that kind of water erosion for 12,000 something years.
Right.
So obviously, if you go by that, then that Sphinx could not have been there at 2,500 BC or 4,000 years ago, whatever, because there was no rainfall to make that erosion pattern happen. So how does that work?
Well, now does that factor in with like what you were talking to me about earlier about that there could be like some sort of like water from within sort of erosion?
Yeah, so there's a couple theories. One, that there was water already trapped inside the limestone, and once it evaporates, it starts creating that erosion pattern.
But why only at the bottom?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, or they said if they were to carry stones from the Nile on the water, that the water from that would have caused some kind of erosion effect too. But I think what West and Schoch are saying is it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of years to do that,
Right.
So,
I mean, even if you want to say it was in the Nile for 100 years,
right,
that's not necessarily enough to cause those kind of erosion marks.
Yeah.
Well, it's also said that the Nile is moved. So if the Nile was closer to the pyramids, what if the pyramids were in the Nile at one point for thousands of years until it moved,
receded or moved?
Yeah,
it's
somewhere
possible.
else.
Well, but would they have been that close?
The Nile supposedly was like right up to the pyramids, and
so
that's how
built
they
like on the banks of the
the Nile River, and that's how they got all the stones to where they are.
Yeah.
But what if the Nile was on the other side of the pyramids and it went through the pyramids to where it's at now?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this: there's a million theories about this, but just throwing this out there, what just your personal opinions based on things you've read, whatever you've known. How do you think the pyramids and the Sphinx were built? Like, what is, if you had to choose one, what would you say is your best guess on that? And when?
The how, I'm not sure. The when, I would say 12,000, 14,000 years ago, or 24 to 26,000 years ago.
Holy shit, you go way back.
I would say an ancient civilization that died out before the Egyptians.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
Yeah, because apparently the Sphinx is lined up directly on the summer solstice, I believe. So when that happens, the sun rises directly in its path, and it faces the constellation Leo in this time frame of 12,000 or 14,000 years ago because of the precession of the stars.
Mm-hmm.
Now that happens every, I think, 26,500 years.
Something like that.
So it's either, that old or even older because
double
whenever that precession happened,
right.
Since it's constantly happening, at what point did they build that?
So like pre last ice age you're talking? Wow.
Yeah, for sure. And what Graham Hancock says is this:
glaciers would do that kind of an erosion.
Yeah, and they would literally
okay.
grind any trace of a civilization out.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about thousands and thousands of tons of ice, literally moving and scraping and grinding that stuff away. You're not going to have anything left.
See, because I think that's always been a lot of people's biggest hang-up when you talk about ancient civilizations that have been lost like that is people sit there and go, well, there'd have to be some sort of proof. And it's like, how come there's no proof? Where's bodies? Where's tools? Where's inscriptions? Where's blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But I think like what you're saying makes sense, though. I mean, it's entirely possible that it could have just been like fucking scrubbed away, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking and say, well, where's the proof? Well, the proof is in
the pudding.
And the erosion.
in the pudding. The proof's in the pudding. The proof is in the things that were big enough, massive enough to not be completely eroded away, which would be the Sphinx, which would be the pyramids, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And they could have been built to signify a point of time when they were built. Where are they in correlation to the stars? Because if you know where that is, you can calculate time from that. I think we did that with the Hoover Dam. There's some kind of symbol in the Hoover Dam that lines up with the stars at that point of time that it was built.
Okay.
Kind of
Really?
like a construction technique, which could have happened in Egypt.
There you go.
Because the pyramids, another theory from Robert Bauval, which is the Orion constellation theory, which Orion's belt is made up of 3 stars, 2 of them kind of in a straight line and 1 of them slightly off center.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at the 3 pyramids of Giza, you have 2 pyramids in a straight line, 1 of them slightly off center. If you match that up, according to him, at some point in time, 14,000 whatever years ago, it lined up to that constellation.
Okay.
Signifying that, hey, we want to build something to signify that we were here at this point in time.
Right.
So that's one possibility.
And they had to have the technology to make it so precise when they built it.
I think
That's
it's
why
like,
everybody thinks it's aliens, because how could the Egyptians? But if it wasn't the Egyptians, if it was some ancient civilization before them that did have the technology.
yeah, because I don't even think people know how to build it with our technology now. To get it that close, orientated to like the North Pole, I think it's only off by like 3 degrees or something, true north.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't think we know how to do that as closely as they did.
Well, but I mean, even the way the pyramid was constructed, I mean, even in today's standards, like making a pyramid like that, I mean, now we have machines and all these other things that could cut and shape and form and move the stones, you know, and they're formed so perfectly. Those things are built so precisely.
Yeah.
Even today, it's like no mean feat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how the fuck did they do that back then? Like, and it's just one of those weird things where I know we've mentioned this before, but it's just like a lot of other things where I think people just kind of go, oh yeah, I don't know, and they move on and they don't think about it, and it's like, because they're not deep thinkers, you know, or whatever. But it's like, to me, that's the kind of thing that I think about at night. Like, doesn't it bother anybody else that there aren't like answers for this kind of shit? Like, how do people just sort of blow it off, you know, like just kind of go, oh yeah, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I know we don't know, but it's like,
aren't you fascinated to find out the answer? I mean,
like, what does that mean? You know, people, yeah, I know I'm treading on dangerous ground, but whatever.
Just go for it.
Well, I mean, it's like, we've got people that, many of them, that lead their lives and live them around things that were written in books, religious texts from 2,000 years ago or something like that. Even though there's a lot of stuff in there that's like implausible or whatever, and they go, oh no, you know, and they base their whole lives around that and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, no, like this is, but then you bring up things like this other stuff, which to me is more like, it's right there hitting you in the face. It's more scientific.
it's physical.
tangible.
You can touch it.
And
you know.
and it's you know, scientific, like unexplained, tangible kind of thing, and people just go, oh, you know, they kind of blow it off, and it's like, I feel like it's almost like they don't want to face up to what it means, I guess is my point. It's like, you read, you know, I'm saying it's like people that get into religion, and it's like, well, there's all this symbolism, and well, these things, it means something. You know, if this book exists, then it means this, and it means that. And it's like, well, what about the fact that we have these, like, structures that we have no fucking explanation for how or why they exist and how could they possibly exist like this. And they're not made up. It's not like, well, it's one person's opinion that it was made like this. No, it's fucking there. Like, and how are more people not sitting there going, okay, like this, like, how do I get, what am I getting at here? I guess my point is not saying I want people to go out and start worshiping like ancient Egyptians or Sumerians or whatever, although some people do.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when you've got other things that to me are so much less tangible and there's nothing there, you know, it's just some dude wrote something on a piece of paper or something, and you go, oh, that's it. Like, I'm putting all my faith and trust and belief into this writing here on this
It's
page.
been translated multiple times from different languages.
And has been all but pretty much proved to not be correct in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that it means it's all wrong. I'm not saying that there's no that people's religion is, you know, just completely bullshit. Although, you know,
but religions have threads within other religions, and they're all connected somehow. They all have the same similar stories, you know.
But what I'm saying is it's weird to me that with the way people are about this stuff, that given that things like all this, the pyramids, all this kind of stuff exist, it's there. You can get on a plane or whatever and go see these things. And there are people that sat there, the most brilliant minds in our world have sat there and said, yeah, we've measured it, we've studied it, blah, 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 blah. We've been doing this for hundreds of years. We have no idea. We got nothing. We're not even totally sure when these things were even made, much less how in the hell they made them, how they moved them, how it was so precise, how it could possibly know to be lined up with this, that, and the other thing. Like, it's weird to me that people aren't going, that's it. Like, here's an actual something that's so beyond us. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
it's, I don't know. Again, I'm not sitting there saying like, oh, well, I'm going to go worship at the base of the pyramid or something like that. I don't want to worship shit except maybe pizza. I worship pizza. Oof.
Not Egyptian pizza. Remember that time in the Netherlands or Belgium we had that Egyptian pizza and it was awful?
Dude.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah, pizza and...
Because anytime we're on tour, it's usually me and Larry. Usually, we always look for pizza somewhere after the show.
Yeah.
And there was like one place open at 3 a.m., the only place, and it happened to be this Egyptian pizza parlor. And
Never again?
no, it wasn't too good.
It wasn't the...
I mean, it's pizza, so it's not horrible, but it's...
It's almost no such thing as absolutely horrible pizza. I mean, if it's flat and it's bread and it's got cheese and this and that on it, then it's edible, you know? Yeah, it was weird. It was kind of different. I didn't think it was horrible. You know, Vito is very, you know, this is Vito we're talking about. He wants his, it's got to be a certain
got a
way.
certain criteria. Although,
Yeah.
to be fair, I still eat Pizza Hut and Domino's, so...
Pizza
That
Hut
says-
is, dude, Pizza Hut is fucking awesome. I know people bag on it, just like they bag on Taco Bell and everything. Pizza Hut's fucking awesome.
Stuffed
man.
crust is real good. But the last time I got it, like 6-8 months ago, the one place over here, it was super greasy and it was awful. It was absolutely awful.
Okay, but that's subjective. I mean, you're talking about depending on we should be
Yeah.
Megan's already got a stomach ache.
So sick.
You know, that's subjective. It would be one thing if you said every time I go to Pizza Hut,
Yeah.
it's greasy and it's awful and inedible. But you go, oh, well, I went to this one. Oh, come on. You know.
But it could easily turn you off for several months.
Yeah, no, I get
It
that.
has.
I understand that. Yeah, I get that. But I'm just saying you can't. It's not enough. Just because you have one or two bad Pizza Hut experiences, it's not enough to go, Pizza Hut's total shit. It's like, no, it's not. People are funny about that. They get real snobby. Now, I will say that fucking pizza that we had in Italy at that bistro place and that out
It's
in
fucking Italy.
well, but it was different. It wasn't like what it just goes to show. It was like, wow, this is very different from our pizza. When you go to these places, it's like
Because
real
it's actually
Italian
Italy.
pizza. Yeah, well, we were in Rome. We were literally walking distance from the Colosseum, and we were sitting and eating. And but that shit was good. Probably helped that I was starving as fuck too. But I want more.
Yeah, I
of
think
that
I got tortellinis or something that night. I had a slice of your pizza or someone's
that's
pizza, but I got some
right.
kind of pasta dish.
Leave it to Vito.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm Italian. I'm real Italian. You know, he's like, I'm not going to come here and eat fucking pizza.
Dude, I was living on fucking prosciutto and mozzarella paninis that whole fucking trip in Italy, man. Those couple days we were there.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
day. The airport, every city I could, it was prosciutto and mozzarella paninis, man.
Yeah, you get the real prosciutto there.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
But in any case, I don't know how we got into Italy and not Egypt.
They're close.
Egypt pizza sent us off the rails.
You know, you were talking a little bit before about like with the Sphinx and everything, and like during equinox and the matching up with the constellation Leo. But then there's like other theories that one dude had where he was talking about, he thought it was more like a dog thing.
Yeah,
like
so this guy Robert Temple came out with a theory that the Sphinx was actually originally a dog to symbolize Anubis, because he thought that it symbolized the Sirius star, which is known as the dog star. And he claims he did some work with this West African tribe called the Dogon, and they claim that an alien race called the Nomo, which is a funny name.
Because you know why? Because they ain't around here no more. All right, sorry, go on.
And they said that these aliens gave them the knowledge of the Sirius star.
Right.
And they thought that it had 3 stars. It was like now we know it as a binary system, but they said there was a 3rd star, Sirius C, which astronomers later
pretty much disproved. Right?
They did disprove.
Yeah.
They thought there was some kind of weird effects with gravity, but later they figured out that it wasn't another star. It was just some other weird anomaly. But it is interesting that they knew about this. Supposedly, this backwoods West African tribe that had no scientific knowledge at all knew about this star that you can't see with your naked eye.
Right.
So,
see, we're back to our theory.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same kind of theory where I briefly read about it, where the 3 pyramids are pointing, I think it's Orion's belt, but it's like pointing to 3 different star systems from there or something, and that's like where we came from. They're our ancestors, so it is aliens and us at the same time. We are the aliens.
Apparently, there's shafts in the Great Pyramid that point to different stars, and according to when the stars align, supposedly your soul would ascend to that star in the afterlife. I actually wrote a song about it in Divinity Compromised called "The Way Home."
Oh, is that what that's about?
It's all about that, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That album is full. Whatever lyrics I wrote for that album were all ancient aliens types of theories. So there's one about the Anunnaki, the Sumerian aliens, and it's a bunch of shit. But
so the whole thing is that it's based on these air shaft things that they point.
Supposedly, yeah.
Okay.
So they're supposed to line up with a certain star at a certain time, and the theory is, well, normally they would ascend and go back home to where they came from, but that has been disproved, apparently. So
there's never been a body found in any of the pyramids, right?
Yeah.
But this could be like they're more navigational than they are.
It's possible.
Funeral,
or it could be just some construction technique to relieve pressure or something. It's as simple as that. I don't know.
Be.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying, is that we know so little.
Yeah.
There's nothing that people have gone, oh wait, that sounds like it's it. You know,
it could be just like the Great Wall of China or the wall they want here and stuff. It's just a status symbol.
Well, we recently found out what was underneath the wall of China.
Yeah, that's
So.
true.
what, China?
No, all those dead workers,
Yeah.
and they came back to life to fight Jet Li at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. No,
You forgot about that already? Did you block that out?
it's the 3rd Mummy movie. Of course I did. I blocked it out as soon as we were done talking about it. I blocked it out. It was like, okay, we don't need any more of that. Yeah, I mean, there's all these. We got a little list here of them. We got all these different So there's different theories that people have about how the pyramids were constructed. Now, I mean, like one of them saying machines or cranes were used to haul and place the stones. Okay, well, I mean, now that I'm assuming they mean in terms of a civilization that was wiped out, and maybe they had some form of like cranes and stuff back then that could have done it.
Yeah, maybe.
Or with like
machine,
a pulley
though.
system, something like that.
They have to hell of a pulley.
You
That's
do what
one
you
hell
had
of a
to do.
pulley.
They had to have something. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, aren't those stones
a
like
crane
20?
that would be a massive fucking crane.
It'd be a massive ass pulley.
I mean,
Well,
cranes
see?
sometimes have a trouble picking up like a shipping container,
Yeah, these
like
things
a 40-foot,
are.
you know?
Yeah,
With,
these
like,
things
20
are massive.
20 tons,
20 tons
right?
are minimum.
Yeah.
What crane can pick that up? Nothing. We don't have anything now that can
I
do
don't
that.
think so, no.
Dude, think about the amount of overtime those Sumerian Union guys had to be making. He's like, I work on a crane like 56 hours a week. Trying to put up this goddamn pyramid.
First thing we walk at the fucking docks over there, now I gotta come over here. We'll lift these fucking stones.
Yeah, I was gonna keep working on the docks, and then the freaking Nile, it moved.
Should go in the fucking plumbers union.
Exactly. Say it moved. They didn't have no docks anymore. You jump off the dock, you just land in a big old pool of sand. What the fuck is that? So I got me a sand job. Got a sand job working on a crane lifting these stupid pyramid blocks. Don't even know what the hell this means. It's got air shafts. It's pointing up to the sky. Who knows what the fuck that means?
Can you imagine some Boston accented fucking Egyptian working?
I'm sure there is some Egyptian dudes that live in Massachusetts that have a Boston accent. So if we ever want
Totally legit.
Yeah,
Ahmed Carcinelli or something like that working the fucking docks over there.
I mean, I don't know. I mean that whole thing. We could talk all day about that because who knows? That gets into the whole thing about like.
Well,
we were
haven't
saying.
they actually proven like they moved it not so much with cranes and everything, but on the like rollers basically. They've actually moved these stones doing that. So it wasn't crane, it wasn't some machines or something. It was just the old-fashioned technique of putting it on rollers and moving the rollers
In a straight line, yeah.
in a straight fucking line.
Now, what happens when you got like a 30-degree angle or whatever the...
Think about how massive these structures are, Meg. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, you got to move this limestone or whatever, block from here to here. But the distance they had to cover carrying these stones and then getting them up and then getting them that precisely, because that's what really gets me is the precision of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's again, you got all these modern techniques and stuff you should be able to do, and you can't get these fucking union guys to get this shit precise nowadays. They can't even fill the potholes on I-90 properly. They can't even fill those level. I mean,
We're more about making money than
our
pride in our job.
I suppose that is a valid point.
And they probably had a really anal, pain in the ass foreman that had to get everything just right. And they had to redo it over and over and over and over again.
He probably would have lost his head if those fucking workers didn't do it right.
Exactly.
Pharaoh's coming for him, man.
Mm-hmm. They had a little more incentive than what we have nowadays.
Yeah, we're gonna suspend you for 2 months with pay if you don't make this fucking. Yeah, okay, dude.
Exactly. See?
It's like, you better get moving over there. Fucking Common over there is coming over here to kick you up the ass, tell you to get moving on them, putting those stones in the right place. In all seriousness, though,
like just here. No, back here. No, back this way. Just okay. Wait, no. Okay, stop. You're not doing it right. Just let me do it.
You can't even see the stars. It's like noon. It's got to be lined up with the stars there, Aknad. It's like, what are you talking about? I can't even see the stars. It's just a blistering hot sun. You got me out here, and then he gets whipped. And
Yeah.
And that's that.
And that's that. Okay, so another thing is they talk about that another construction theory is that pyramids were originally hills, and then the stones were placed from the top down.
The problem with that is those hills must have been perfectly aligned with the stars and everything else.
Right. It's still not
And
really.
what they do, dig the hill part out.
Right.
Right.
Once they put the pyramid around it, like, okay, take the dirt out now.
what
We're
are you gonna
done.
do with- yeah. You would need a fucking massive crane to do that even. You can't do
Yeah.
that by hand shovel. You'd be there
Right.
fucking 6,000 years.
Mm.
Those motherfuckers would still be there taking that dirt out.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Unless it was built 26,000 years ago.
Oh, that's true. Then, yeah. Then maybe we
Mhm.
would have caught up by then.
They
Yeah, I
just
guess
lasered it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. They talk about limestone concrete was used to make the shapes of the stones.
Okay, that one I can kind of see. Kind of.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes that takes away your theory of how the fuck did they get those stones up the ramps and everything. Well, they didn't. They just poured them in place. Now,
Mm.
granted, you still need to construct those frames for each block to perfectly align them.
But that's much easier than moving 20,000 ton stones.
Yeah. So
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay, so
That
that's,
seems more feasible.
Yeah.
well, that's a possibility. Possible. It's possible.
That's smart. I can
We'll
do that.
we'll mark a maybe on that one.
Yeah. We'll put an asterisk next to that. Ramps that went around and or inside the pyramids to carry and place the stones. Well, I mean, we've already, you know.
Yeah, again, how you gonna get those up? And then
Yeah.
you'd have to. I mean, the ramp would have to be so far away from the pyramid in order to
Unless it
gradually
was
go up.
like sand ramps. It was like actual. It wasn't like wood ramps. It was
Right.
they actually like pushed everything up to the pyramid, and
Yeah.
then again they have to dig it all back out.
Well, that leads
That's
to the
very
next thing we're
time-consuming.
talking about, using wet sand to
Mhm.
transport the stones a little easier.
Then you get a bunch of quicksand. Then you're under the stone, and then you're fucked, right? I mean that. I don't know.
But they've done that too, and showed that they could move it easier with less people. But again,
It's still not
It-
answering all the questions.
all the questions
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
because they had to come so far with these stones.
Right.
You don't have that much water.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
Maybe that's how the Nile receded. They use all the fucking
They use all the water.
to wet the sand.
What assholes?
Yeah. That would not fly in the summer in Chicago. I'll tell you what, man. You get that water tax on you, the community around here will come and fucking give you a ticket for that shit.
yeah.
Using water after 10 o'clock at night.
Oh,
Mm,
really?
Really?
Yeah, they don't do that in my neighborhood. It's just you're just out here in the
Yeah, I
burbs,
guess
man.
so.
They get on you about that shit. My neighborhood, it's like fuck.
You got
South
20
side of
kids out
Chicago.
there.
I should say south side of Chicago. It's
Got
like
motherfuckers stabbing each other. We don't got to worry about fucking water.
south side of Chicago, dude. My neighbors in the summer, are having like huge outdoor parties at like 3 in the morning with like chickens and goats and shit. And again, if people out there are going, oh, that's kind of Larry, why would you say that's kind of racist? No.
You've seen it. You've lived
I'm being like literal, like they really do. My neighbors a few houses down, man. They in the summer, like maybe not once a week, but pretty often. Man, they're out there partying. And they've got that that music going, you know, the traditional, like the mariachi kind of stuff going and everything. They're out there partying, they're drinking, and they literally have like a goat and a rooster and all this stuff like out there. And I mean, they're just hanging out. They're not doing anything to the goat or anything. They're actually really awesome people, man. It's like sometimes I'm laying in my bed and I'm like, go to bed. I'll just say, 3 in the morning, I still hear. And I'm like, holy shit, guys, go to bed. But anyway, they talk about, like, Meg, I think you kind of mentioned using like a waterway
Mm-hmm.
to float the stones. And it says even create some kind of lock to raise the stones to the proper height needed for placement. I mean,
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, that is
yeah.
interesting, but can you imagine the construction tech? I mean, how many locks would you need to bring those stones up? Then you'd have to move the lock. That
Right.
doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. I don't know.
And then one last thing listed, and I mean, there's tons of theories, but one of the last main ones, which is aliens did it.
Totally.
Aliens did it. Simpsons did it. No, but yeah, I mean, I know people are going to roll their eyes and they're going to be like, oh, okay. But to me, like with anything else here, it's like to say there is absolutely nothing to prove that aliens have visited here or had anything to do with it. Okay. Okay. But at the same time, there's nothing to prove that they didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
there's nothing to sit there and say that they didn't. And then you get into all the different things where there have been things that were inscribed and written, and on walls and all these other things that
No, we've had visitors.
that have shown things that look like that we can't explain. It's not necessarily verbatim like that's aliens, but it's things that it's like, well, what the hell does that mean? 'Cause that looks like things we can't explain.
And it's not just in Egypt.
It's
not
all
only in Egypt,
over.
all over the world.
Yes.
The Mayans, the Aztecs, they all have these some kind of symbols of beings from the sky coming to Earth, you know.
Exactly.
Just like in our Alien, when we did, where it talks about the Roswells, they were the future of us coming to warn us. What if they came to Egypt and the Mayans and all that stuff?
Maybe they were time travelers just observing like we want to do.
Exactly.
You know?
They were observing and
They got
helping
caught.
us. And some of them went a little too far.
Yeah.
Well, but no, I mean, not even to say they went too far, because here's the thing. So imagine a future race of humans or humanoids, whatever, that are able to travel time. And because of what they know now in the future, they know that, oh, we have to go back to those ancient times to do something
Mhm.
and everything. And we have to do that because if we didn't do that, then that wouldn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we need to do that to make all this happen, because otherwise then it changes. It's so hard when it gets into timey-wimey stuff, man. I don't know. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm not that guy with the goofy, crazy hair, you know.
Georgios Tsoukalos.
Yeah, that's going, you know, it's aliens. I don't know, man. Because of like what you just brought up, the fact that there's so much crossover there with all the different ancient civilizations that claim to have seen, you know, or they have these weird writings and things that sounds like it could be that they were all visited, and added up with like these things that seem like by human history was just so far superior to what they should have been able to do and everything. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen out there. You can be like, oh, okay, Larry, but I lean towards that there was some sort of outside influence there. I'm not saying aliens necessarily built the pyramids or built the Sphinx, but they may have assisted in some way. I know we're getting back into the aliens thing we talked about, but
It's fascinating, man.
well, and I just can't, I don't know. I just have this gut feeling that in some way, shape, or form, life from another system has something to do with us. It has something to do with us being here, how we're here, how we've survived, how we've evolved, all this kind of stuff. And people say, well, prove it. I have no way of proving it, as nobody else does that I know of. I have no way of proving it. It's just my hunch, my gut instinct that tells me I have this feeling that it is, you know. Aliens doing that would explain so much. You know what I mean? It really would explain so much. It would explain so much of these mysteries that we have about Egypt, about all sorts of things. It would just explain so much, because as of yet, we have not come up with anything earthly to fucking explain these things.
And pyramids are not just in Egypt; they're all over the world.
Right.
Mexico.
Freaking Antarctica.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Back here on I-94, like in between, you know, Chicago and Kenosha.
Is there really?
There's that one dude who's got I don't know if it's still there. He's got like a pyramid house. You used to be able to see it from 94.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was by like Zion or something, or Antioch, one of those two. But
Really?
yeah.
I don't know if I knew about
No?
that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know for the longest time that there was a Leaning Tower of Pisa over
Yeah.
here at
Yeah.
Niles. There's literally a replica of the Leaning
Yeah.
Tower of Pisa,
We're
just
gonna
like
need to work that in somehow
Yeah.
at
Like
some
a-
point.
like not even a mile away from where
Should
we're
have
at right
fucking
now.
done it for the Superman episode.
Oh,
man.
Oh, well.
We'll find a use for it. Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, there's actually a place in Tennessee called the Memphis Pyramid. And it was originally known as the Great American Pyramid. It was built as like an arena. It's like a 20,000 seat arena. So it's like you could go see like Ozzy or something in it, you know. It's like, we're going to go see Ozzy play in the Great Memphis Pyramid.
No, we need to go see Amun-Ra and Niles.
There you go.
Niles, right?
Yeah,
Niles.
Nile. Yeah.
Nile. Go see that there. That would be epic.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
wonder if they ever tried to get booked there.
We need to make it happen, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Get Carl up on the phone, Larry. Let's
There you
listen.
go, Carl. Come on. We need to do a metal fest.
Get sarcophagus to play and stuff.
See,
Yeah.
There you go. And a whole Egyptian-based
There-
metal fest.
Oh,
Call up Mark Kohler again. Tell him we got to put a sarcophagus reunion back on there so that we can just all this. Yeah. But no, the Memphis Pyramid. Ready for this? It's the 6th largest pyramid in the world.
what?
Shut up. Are you serious?
Down there in Tennessee?
It's even got a Bass Pro in it.
Hey.
I didn't say anything about Bass Pro. I'm just saying. You know, Meg, I know they're they're your people and everything, but leave it
It's kind
to
of racist.
leave it to the hillbillies to go. You know what we're gonna do? Let's build us one of them pyramids. It's like, well, what are we gonna do, Jesse? What are we gonna do with a pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee? It's like,
This wall, nothing but Bass Pro.
one wall, all fishing gear, and the other wall, nothing but barbecue, and the other wall, Stroh's lights, cases and cases of Stroh. Maybe Lowenbrow.
So, Larry, it's the 6th largest pyramid in the
Yes.
world?
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that
What
That's
the
insane.
fuck?
that
Ask them. I wonder how they built that motherfucker.
Yeah, well, I mean, they built this like fairly recently, so it's
Is it? Do you know what it's made of? Does it say? Or
you know, I actually do not know. I could probably
I smell a road trip coming on, guys. I don't know.
It's right on the banks of the Mississippi.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
wonder if they're trying to
I
reenact.
wonder if they
some-
have erosion.
There you go. We should.
We need to go investigate.
By erosion, do you mean bums littering outside in the parking lot?
Fucking
'Cause-
rubbing their ass on the pyramid. That's how they get all the fucking.
Because if that's what you're meaning, I'm gonna just take a wild scientific guess and say, yes, they do. This is Memphis, after all. Yeah, that pyramid. Yeah, that pyramid was built in 91.
Wow.
So
We need to go measure the Mississippi so we can go back every year and remeasure to make sure if it's moving or not.
I'm reading about it right now. It says, take a ride 28 stories to the top of the pyramid on America's tallest freestanding elevator. Interesting. Freestanding.
Freestanding,
elevator.
that sounds a little
Oy.
terrifying.
Huh?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Freestanding. What the?
Yeah, what does it go diagonal? I don't understand. It's
It's a glass elevator from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or something.
yeah. Once
It's
at
a
the
tube, you just
yeah.
like at the bank.
Just get stuck up in that
They
thing.
put
dude.
you in a container with a checking deposit slip. Okay, so it says once at the top, check out the awesome 360 views of Memphis and the Mississippi River on the outdoor observation deck, patterned after the Grand Canyon skywalk. All right, now wait a minute. All right, it's bad enough you got a pyramid here in Memphis, Tennessee, but then you're combining it with like the Grand Canyon and stuff. It's like
Well, we're America. We got to put our stamp on everything,
we
man.
fuck everything up, man. Every time.
America.
Yeah, America.
It says
Man, we gonna get one of them fancy pyramids here. I'll tell you what, boy.
wow, man, you guys need to see the pictures of this.
I don't understand how it's a up thing. How I mean, it's a point. How does it have
Right.
an upstairs 360 observation?
This is just the Bass Pro. That
Whoa, is that a boat? There's a boat.
Is there water there? What is that?
It's Bass Pro. Of course there's water.
You can take that out for a
They
test.
do got
appearance?
some pretty fancy.
You can't put out no tar fire with water. Sorry. Getting real hillbilly on you now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could go on like rides on the boat and everything.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Okay, we got to go to this place, man.
Oh man, there's
Holy
okay.
shit,
When
look
we're
Look
done
at
with
that.
this,
It's a whole fucking city.
Yeah.
that's just the Bass Pro. That's only one
What?
part of it.
That's one badass Bass Pro
Dude, if the next ice age comes,
right
that's
there.
the place to be, man.
We'll survive everything.
Do they got a food court too?
Of course, they have a food court.
You got all you ever need, man.
What's the dining, Uncle Ben's? Uncle Buck's even
Uncle
better.
Buck's
Oh,
Fish
that's-
Bowl and Grill.
Fish bowl and grill.
Fish bowl, like a bowling alley.
Dude, yeah. It's the
Is
heart.
it really?
The heart of Uncle Buck's is a large elevated bar and 13-lane ocean-themed bowling alley.
Jesus.
Fuck.
Ocean themed
yes.
nonetheless.
Yeah.
In fucking Tennessee.
You'll love the exotic and tropical fish that swim in and around the restaurant. Eating away, creating its old fishy mouth erosion. Ain't no question about
Can you
how the erosion happened on this pyramid.
Can you imagine, like, humans 10,000 years from now find that pyramid and got some fucking asshole podcaster talking about how the fuck did this pyramid get?
Exactly.
Well, there's some theories that say there's these goddamn guppies that be up there fucking chewing it.
But that doesn't explain. So how come?
All
So
these
how-
stuffed animals. What is that about?
So how come the pyramid then has this erosion, the one that's located near the Mississippi River, but then the other pyramid that was located over in what used to be believed to be Las Vegas, Nevada, doesn't have that, but does emit some sort of light from its tip? And it's like, well, there were stories that there was some great magician that resided at that pyramid and out over there in Nevada, and it's like, oh, you mean like Imhotep? It's like, actually, his name was Chris, and they believed that he was Christopher, and that he was not only a magician but that he was an angel. Apparently, it's like Chris, and that he was, the locals referred to him as King Mind Freak. It's like, can you imagine that? Like if that's what they were referring to, it's like how we talk about King Tut and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, no, the American pyramid, and it's like, what do you know about it? Well, it was occupied. We believe that the great legendary Prince Chris Angel resided there, and he did amazing magical feats that still to this day science cannot prove how he did it.
Because they have no more TVs to slow down the footage. It's actually just clever video editing for everything.
How did he crawl through that tiny hole in the wall? It's not even human.
And the beam is actually like something for the aliens to come find us
Yeah.
and get us back
Those
to our
beacons, yeah.
civilization. It's a beacon, exactly.
Exactly. Well, guys, believe it or not, I'm walking on air. Never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
I thought you were going to say walking in Memphis, but...
Walking in Memphis.
Yeah, that would have been better.
No, Walking in Memphis is not better than the theme from The Greatest American Hero.
It was in that X-Files episode.
Well, anyway.
You're going to let it go.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is we've already been talking for over an hour. And I know there's tons that we didn't get into, but we're going to be talking about this again.
And again, and again.
And again.
And again, and again, and again. But yeah, we should probably just call it here. I mean, I just put this out to you guys that are listening, because we're always asking you to, please comment, please, please, blah, blah, blah. But seriously,
we mean it this time. Do it.
Fucking do it.
We were kidding the other times, but this time, guys, we're 100%
Dead serious.
Yeah.
Just do it. Do it this time. Come on. But no, seriously, let us know. Yeah, sorry, I got a little intense there. But yeah, let us know. What theories do you guys believe in? Do you think that pyramids and all that were just built 2,500, 3,000-4,000 years ago, whatever it was, 4,500 years ago? Or do you believe that it was an ancient civilization that was wiped out? Or do you think it was even older than that? Were we aided and abetted by aliens? Or was it just some kind of hard work and tenacity on part of our great ancestors?
Or was it just there all the whole time? Just some naturally...
It's a natural occurrence.
Yeah, which is not correct answer. But
Don't
if
say
you
that.
think
That's dumb.
if you think it is, just comment anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know who built the pyramids and all that? Dinosaurs.
I'll go with
That makes sense. That's why the ones have such long necks.
They had to get the stones up there. They're the only ones that could see. Why else would they be so tall?
Exactly.
If you're a human, why would you crane your neck to look at the pyramid? That doesn't make any sense.
Guys, that's obviously the fucking answer.
We've solved it. We can go home now.
Two fucking words. Fred fucking Flintstone.
That's 3 words.
Don't you remember what he? No, it wasn't. But don't you remember?
One's an adjective. It doesn't count.
It was all right there. It was all right there in the intro. He'd be on that big brontosaurus that's in there. That thing was. What was that thing doing? What was the brontosaurus doing? Lifting fucking stones with his big old gangly head.
See, pulley system. It's
crane, pulley system, dinosaurs, Flintstone feet.
Boom. Mic drop. We've done it.
Whistle blow. Yabba dabba doo. Barney, my pebbles. Fred would go home. Barney'd be eating more of his fruity pebbles. He'd get a fucking smackdown. Kick his ass back over to Betty. Betty'd smack him down again. Say, you stupid little shit. Quit going over and eating the neighbor's fruity pebbles.
I don't know. I would do that.
I know our next retrospective special, guys. The Flintstones movies.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Please, no.
I was totally joking.
Oh, thank God. I was like, oh, please tell me we don't have to put that on the list. Not on the list. But anyway, yeah, this was fun talking about this. There's so much more we could get into, man. Because I wanted to talk about. Next time we got to talk.
We even touch on curses or anything.
And like ancient stories and about curses of the pharaohs and Curse of the Pharaohs, like Merciful Fate.
The band Pharaoh.
Pharaoh's awesome. Yeah. Hell yeah, man! I love that band. My buddy Chris playing in that band.
Yeah.
So yep. Did. But anyway. Thank you so much for listening to us, and make sure you like us, comment like we asked, please, especially if you're listening to this on iTunes and all that. We need reviews.
Please, please, please give us a 5-star.
Even if you don't give us a 5-star, just give us a freaking review. We need to know you're out there. We know you're out there. We see that you're out there, but you're not saying anything. Reach out to me.
Yeah, that's when you give a reach out to you.
Not creepy at all.
Oh, God. All right. Yeah, it's late.
Yeah, we're getting kind of loopy now.
Yeah. So, okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're Geeking Poetic. I have no idea what we're going to be talking about. We'll see. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to talk about next month. What the next episode is going to be. Maybe if not, maybe we'll do part 2 of this. We certainly got way more to talk about.
Maybe.
Maybe, baby. Maybe, baby. We're going to see you later. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Adios.